A goal, Quishbilly, Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Quishbilly's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Droopy and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Butch Cassidy, Bonnie and Clyde, John Dillinger, Robin Hood, Jesse James, Professor Simon Peach, Ronnie Biggs, Cat Burglar, Molloy from The Simpsons, Dick Turpin, Danny Ocean, the Wet or Sticky Bandits. That's how it's done, fellas. Just 90 hours from his last great heist, Carlos El Gato Ladron Corberan assembled a squad of the highest highwaymen, arrived at Bramall Lane, shot up the grappling hooks, scaled the Bramall Lane stand and pilfered the 3 points after Chief Pickpocket Harry Toffolo robbed Ben Davies and rolled the ball across for a debut loot for Levi Colwill. Joining myself, Matt Shaw, on today's podcast, I've got a safe pair of dainty hands in Phil the Safe Cracker Senior, a man who is always watching, isn't he? Dan the Prowler Porritt, and back from a one-day trip to foreign climes again so he could see the game, it's Richard the Hacker Kosmala. How are we doing, chaps?
Very good, thank you.
It's much more fun when you win, isn't it? The podcast. You know, we've learned how to shithouse. We've nicked the 3 points. I believe that's what we can call a shit-iced pozzer. But there we go.
I don't think I've ever discussed 2 wins in a row, let alone 2 wins in 1 week. So this is uncharted territory for me. This place.
Uncharted sauna territory, yeah. But like I say, you forget how much fun podcasting is once you've won a few games. Right, and you also forget how much fun football is without a beer. So we've the podcast is sponsored by Magic Rock Brewing. You can go online and place an order at magicrockbrewing.com and use our code of AHTTC10 to get 10% off. So thanks to Magic Rock for continually sponsoring the podcast. Right, guys, when you score in the 94th minute, Cozzy, and you lose, and as you say, you're losing your SHIT, as you often say on here. There's not many better feelings as a football fan, is there, than a 94th minute winner?
Oh, just incredible scenes. I mean, absolutely incredible scenes. I watched them back 30 odd times. My first thought would be a Stewart, because I think I knew half of them lads on the track, and they were incredible. I know there's so many superlatives in there, but that's football. Honestly, when we're being like away from the ground, you're kind of dreaming of something like that, really, aren't you? Maybe most people at Salem Road, but you're not going to get far away from that. It was just incredible, and the fact that it looked like it had been snatched away by bloody Billy Sharp again, who loves a 90th minute winner. Luckily, no helicopter landing on the pitch this time, getting our injured players off. But I thought he'd done it again, and then to come back like that, it just sensational. The scenes were incredible. I mean, I watched it all on the Quest. I must have watched it back about 10 so many times. But when it cuts into some of them angles, and people are going absolutely berserk. It's just a beautiful thing, and it's so long overdue. And it's just football, though.
Football's back, mate. Football's back.
How many people did you see on Saturday morning? 33 quid. Possibly you put that post on, but £33. You can't justify that. But I know people who were out of love with Phil, out of love with Huddersfield Town. But they wait for the day out on the drink. You'll remember that a long time. Yeah, I just hope a season I'm peaked there, because I suppose that's a discussion for maybe another pod. But brilliant, and the fact that he was Colwill as well. I think even his mum's been on the Twitter and his sister or someone.
His family were there at the back, mate, and walked past them at the end, and they're all beaming. It was nice to see all beaming smiles at the back. You know, absolute all with the phones. You know, texting relatives and WhatsApping relatives and stuff. They were absolutely over the moon, and they've been watching him every game, I believe. And you know, it was nice to see. It's nice to see the togetherness, especially developing on and off the field. You know, that picture with Jonathan Hogg coming over the top as well. You know, and there's a fan with a phone, isn't there, sort of with his arm around him. And I thought that was brilliant. That, and it's good to see.
And you've got, I don't know if you see it, but the cameraman is like in amongst the carnage and the lads going absolutely nuts. And he kind of pulls away trying to get a picture. And I thought, mate, you've done brilliant there. But that is football. And I'm so proud and pleased for all them fans that went, because they paid ridiculous money for a horrible away. You know, that viewing is horrendous. And
no, it's bad. £34.75, mate, when you had the Ticketmaster tax.
But man, I think they paid $134.75. It was just a famous win, mate, and it's up there with God, Rotherham, where
steady.
Honestly, you just can't get any better than that. And
that's the best moment since lockdown, isn't it? We've been locked up for over a year, if you like, no football, and then that. You know, and when we've come back, it's been pretty crap, really. Overall.
I was trying to explain it to anyone last night, because Christ, I was retweeting it and rinsing it out of SHIT everywhere. But what are you going so much for, mate? When you've won, what did them start? 20 wins in the last 150 games and that as well, and that happens. I'm sorry, but that is life, and that is life. Just keep injecting me that. If anyone's down this week at any point, just keep rewinding that. Save it. Quest. I watched it on Quest and Quest Plus 1 hour. That buzzing with it all the time.
I even signed up for Discovery Plus so I could watch the Quest highlights back. That's how bad it is.
Absolutely.
It is what you say, though, because it's like you mentioned there people who went who you've fallen out of love with town and you're not interested anymore and all that. I defy anybody who has any interest in sport in general. If you're in that environment, you're getting caught up in that moment. And like you say, I watched it at home as well. I didn't go yesterday. Wish I had done. It's one of them where all week you're not bothered on Saturday morning, you wake up. It goes back to that what if moment, doesn't it? What if this happens? What if that happens? And that, I think you said it. That's why you go for moments like that. But anybody, I think, through lockdown, when you're watching it on TV, it's certainly not the same as being live. And I've got friends who have stopped going because they fall out of love with it and stuff like that. And I've said, go back to a stadium, because once you get back in, it kind of like sucks you back in, even though it's been crap. I mean, I were not that bothered, and I went to Southport in a friendly, and after that I were like, yeah, do you know what, we're back at stadium, and football is becoming football again. And I defy anybody who has any interest in Huddersfield Town to be in a stadium when that happens and just be like, yeah, not bothered, because it just won't happen. That might just now kickstart a lot of people's, reignite the love. And as you say, the scenes afterwards were fantastic. I hope nobody got hauled out. I hope nobody has any repercussions for it, because end of the day, there's no trouble there for me. They're just exuberant. They're running on. They're not trying to cause any trouble. And hopefully sense will prevail, and nobody on there will, be receiving any phone calls from anybody.
Did you see that tweet from that Middlesbrough fan? That Middlesbrough fan summed it up to me. The Middlesbrough fan just tweeted randomly and said, "Look at that season in Huddersfield end. That something like that is football. So jealous." And it's like that is when
gets it. Guy gets it.
Proper football fans get that. It doesn't matter who you support. That is 90+4 after you've let him win at 90+1. Amazing, man.
The agony and the ecstasy. Let's roll it back, pause, because it was a tough start. We were okay, I thought, for the first 10 minutes. Sarr was a decent outball down the left. But gradually we got ground down, we got pushed back, and Sheffield United were really sort of killing us from that down our left-hand side. Basham was overlapping from right centre-back, and they were outnumbering us down that flank. Hoggy dropped a bit too deep for my liking first half. He dropped, which narrowed the midfield a bit, which meant Lewis couldn't get across out that side quicker either. But despite one early slip as well, Paul, I'm going to you as the resident centre-back in and amongst us. Despite one early slip from Naby Sarr, he was excellent again, wasn't he? He's had competition brought in for him this summer. Matty Pearson maybe right side, but Levi Colwill's coming in, and Naby's responded, and he's playing that middle centre-back role. And once again, he was a man mountain.
Yeah, he's obviously managed to get his boots on right feet this season, which always helps. But no, as you say, he's done well. Sometimes competition can push you on. You've obviously, when you're comfortable in a playing position, don't really matter what I do today, because there's basically nobody else to come in. So having Colwill and Pearson come in has obviously, he's had to sort of up his game a little bit, which is great. It's his second season, so he's had a bit more time to settle in. He's probably had a bit more of a pre-season this time, so he's looking good at the moment, and long may it continue. I think you're right in what you're saying. We did have a good start. but we did eventually get pushed back. I'd like to see us play out front foot a little bit more. I know we did kind of start quite well, but it did seem to fade quite quickly. And I watched it back again. I watched some extended highlights today, and there's times in that first half where we've got basically all 11 men within 25 yards of our goal, and I don't like to see that, because even if you win it, there's no out ball, there's nothing to get you going. It's people moan about Town being a little bit lethargic and slow going forward anyway. So if there's no one, in advance of 25, 30 yards from your own goal, you've got to go sideways to get, Danny Ward, as it were, up to at least halfway before you can play forward. So I'd like to see us leave one, if not two players forward a little bit, because if you do that, then, Sheffield United, as we were playing, would have to worry about them, and it just gives you that little bit more of an outball. I thought we defended well. We, apart from really that overhead kick from McBurney, I don't think Pearson were overly troubled. But the fact that when we got the ball, there were nowhere to go forward meant that it just kind of kept coming and coming.
Was building.
And as you were watching it, as you got close to half time, I was certainly thinking we need half time to come here, because if it had just continued on, I do think we probably would have got one. Great to see we changed it in second half, though. I know we might go on to that. Made a couple of positive substitutions, which we've all berated Carlos for. So on this one, doff of the cap to you there, Carlos. You spotted what was going on and changed it. And after that, I think 60 minutes, we'd not had a shot. And then after 60 minutes to end, we'd scored twice and had two or three other opportunities. So it just shows that if we can get at teams, that we have got the potential to cause some damage. A lot of people sort of mention it's a bit of a funny one, really, because we're all on here saying that we've not got much going forward, but when you actually look at his team on paper, going forward is probably his biggest strength. And maybe the three across the front is the way to go.
Really?
It doesn't mean it's just strikers, though, does it? You look at your fullbacks, Harry Toffolo.
No, I'm talking your wide players, really, more than your actual, your central striker. Yeah, they're all pathetic, to be honest. But the support players around them are, you've got Corberan on one side and Thomas on other that can cause damage, and then even Lewis O'Brien breaking from that central three. It's not a bad three. It's just the one in the middle, really, that needs replacing.
I want to talk about the change as well, guys. And Cosy, I'll bring you in as well, because you didn't feel you were watching it, weren't you? Sort of.
I just think, mate, on the game, if someone's playing 3-5-2, the last thing you want to see for a good game is the other team playing 3-5-2. And exactly what happened. It were horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Both teams playing that. Both teams devoid of quality out wide and devoid, as we know, of any playmaker, anything in the middle. So it were absolute dross, really, until no one's really kind of grabbed the bull by the horns and that as well. And
you enjoyed it then?
You were rubbish. It were absolute dross. Honestly, have a read today. Chris Dunlavey's done a brilliant report in the Football League paper. He were criticising kind of Sheffield United, really, because they've got a lot more kind of talent than us. He says Huddersfield's kind of the curious kind of team, and he were kind of praising Carlos, where he's saying, when you've considered as many as we have, and we're going kind of this way and that as well, it's like, I mean, it looks good when it wins, but surely number one priority this season for Carlos is, as much as I'd love to see kind of nice football, we've got to be more solid, haven't we? And we did look that, and we did on Tuesday night, which I know we'll come on to that a bit later on, but it's like, but I think people were saying attack and this, that, and the other. I just thought we were playing it the correct way, to be fair. And could we nick a goal?
All part of the master plan.
I praise to Carlos, for the game.
Yeah, 100%.
And anyone who I watched Sheffield United West Brom on Wednesday night, and I was saying to you guys, you were like, one, two were laughing, but I thought they were abysmal then. They were so poor, but I just didn't know if we had the quality to kind of do the job there. But the longer it went on yesterday, the more, like you said, I think after an hour, Matt, you were right. We kind of had one or two moments without really looking like.
Well, it was the change you're on about, mate. We moved to 3-4-3, and Basham, who was causing us a headache all day, Koroma sat on him, and he couldn't do that, and we pushed them back. So the changing system really worked for us. And like you say, if Carlos does something wrong, or we think he does, we'll say. When Carlos does something right, he deserves praising, and he deserves full praise for that performance yesterday. He absolutely nailed it, I thought.
Then, Phil, I want to ask you something, because I think in football, one thing we never talk about, we debate about formation managers and that, is a bit of luck. Mate, we got the luck on Tuesday night with that Liverpool Loney Ledger, mate. Beautiful finish, because I don't think Owens were going to finish it. And then yesterday, Koroma straight back out to him in a rebound. Yeah, brilliant composure to put it in the end. But, mate, football, you need that bit of luck as well. As much as people don't want to hear it about skill, that we've had our luck this week, mate, to get us those 6 points. And it's massive in football, isn't it, that?
How many times a season do you look and balls don't drop? Balls come into the box and they don't drop to your players, but opposition, every time one comes in, it lands straight at their feet. And like you say, it's pure luck. Tuesday night, pure luck. And obviously, again, obviously, the thing is with Corberan is the run's there. It's a good ball into him. He's done what he needs to do. Obviously, it wasn't a great first shot, but we've kind of earned that look from that kind of a counter-attack that what we had. So, but you're 100% right, because you can go through a season where you have absolutely nothing. You can say the same with injuries as well, can't you? And it's just, sometimes it's just that luck that you need to kind of nick a few wins, even when you don't deserve it.
Lads, we've not done this for a while.
Super Josh Coroma.
Josh Coroma. Cozzy, you were mentioned last week, didn't we, that he was maybe suffering the effects of what's gone on in pre-season, looking a little bit behind the others, in terms of fitness. He was great yesterday. Most recoveries on the field, worked back, tackled 5 tackles, which is the most in the team. He's worked, he's snuffed out the issue there. Josh Coroma looks like he's heading back. And what I really liked, Phil, as well, about that goal, Fodringham maybe should have done better from, goalkeeping point of view. He's kicked it straight back in the middle. And when you reflexes are like that.
Do you remember Bacuna on that video? League One Wes Swindon. League One Wes. He was going mental. What a legend.
He's probably right. But, and he gets it. But the way Coroma doesn't snatch at it, we saw Fraser. Fraser came on. To be fair to Fraser Campbell, he came on and he made a real difference, harassing, pressing, and doing what Fraser Campbell, being a pest, doing what Fraser does. But he had that chance, didn't he, where he could have got the shot away and he delayed and looked for a better angle. But Josh Coroma, just so cool, wasn't he? Just no rush. He could have lashed at it. He could have, but he's just sat there and he's waited, bided his time, and he's just stroked it down the middle. It just
looks really
class player. Class player.
I think is it confidence? Everyone needs that confidence, don't they? But he just looks really. I remember the first year that he came and he played a couple of games and he looked a little like, he wanted to snatch at shots and almost as if, do I deserve to be here kind of thing. And now you can see that, he knows he's one of our main men. And you can see the confidence flowing from Sorba Thomas, exactly the same.
Yeah.
He's full of beans, and that's what we want to see from these two attacking players who they are going to cause any team in this league problems because they're full of confidence at the moment.
Well, I think as well, mate, two of the reasons that these two guys, these are guys like from non-league. These are guys who are getting a chance in one of the biggest leagues in Europe. Let's be honest, outside, one maybe Serie A and things. So they look like they're enjoying the football, living the dream. The one thing I really like about Coroma, which I think he's got to, last year he made all the headlines for us. He's going to be a marked man this year. It's as simple as that. I don't think he's fit enough yet. And Preston did a, kind of quiet evening, wanted for him and that as well. But his levels are only going to get fitter. But he looks like to be someone who can rise to that challenge and that as well. And it's, I get quite a few texts from other people who's kind of, who's this Josh Coroma, like not town fans and stuff, and words getting around. But yeah, a beautiful, kind of finish and composure and as well. But I think, against Sorba Thomas, big new, Wales and strong links there out there. We're like getting a national team. These lads have got to be coming down canal side in there, Robin Reliance or whatever. So they've got to be buzzing, haven't they? Because like they're enjoying life, they're enjoying football and. God, Levi Colwill. I mean, are we going to talk about him now?
Mate, I've got some bits on Levi Colwill. We'll do it in a minute. But Phil, first of all, I want Phil to tell us about Lee Nicholls because I sitting where we were quite low down, so it's very difficult. Your depth perception we're talking about earlier, the depth, like Phil mentioned, even in the stand, your depth perception behind the goal. If the keeper's at the other end, you can't tell if you should come and get stuff. So I'm sort of led by the reports a little bit. But to me, Lee Nicholls looked pretty sound. Kicking went a little bit Paul Rahubka at one point, didn't it? But he did hit some good balls. But he like there's a mention where he tells Levi Colwill off, at one point, and Levi responds, and it just seems that I like Ryan Schofield is a really good guy, but Lee Nicholls just seems a good fit for this moment in time. He's commanding, he talks, and he just adds that layer of calmness, Phil, that
Yeah, we were in. I were in the White Rose Pub Tuesday, and so we were sat in the top tier, and it's a great view from up there. Anyone who sits in any of the top tiers, you'll know. And you're right in terms of the depth perception. You can see it. So Tuesday night, a bit of an error towards the edge of his box, and it was kind of touch and go. But for him, it might have looked a little bit closer. Got away with it. But the thing that stood out for me the most was his commanding of his area. And commanding of his area, I don't mean coming for crosses and things like that. I mean commanding the area around you and making sure that everything is right in front of you. And my little lad says, oh, they're always shouting. And I said, actually, he's not. I said, he's not actually shouting, he's talking. And I could hear what he was saying from where I was. And he wasn't shouting at the players, he was giving instruction. So simple things like, left shoulder, just like little words, drop deeper, etc. You could hear that kind of discussion on the field, and that makes a massive difference to your defenders, because they literally do not need to look over their shoulder, because if that instruction is reliable and real clear, they could just follow it while they're concentrating on what's going on in front of them as well. And you can see his handling is very good. He's secure at them. Well, this is at the moment, because we always talk about when things are good, and when it's like you lot talking about Sorba Thomas's delivery, and then Tuesday night were absolutely horrendous.
Don't curse him then, Phil.
It's good again against Sheffield, mate. Don't worry.
Sheffield United. Carried away, can't you? But you can see the character. I liken him to Steve Francis. I feel like he's a very similar keeper to Steve Francis, where he just looks really reliable. And you can just see the confidence from the back 4-3-5 really. So yeah, it's positive at the moment. And like I say, it's nothing against Ryan, because Ryan's got his own strengths, and Ryan maybe will learn a lot from this lad, obviously a bit older. So
Ryan's reflexes are frightening, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So it's really, it's really positive. We've got a good keeper in at the moment, and obviously we've got another good keeper waiting to come in and prove a point. So it's a strong position at the moment, which is good.
It's much more fun, this podcast, isn't it? When you win a game, it's much more fun. This. Let's do game by numbers. So this is something I've just written, and I've just put a tag on it. But I'm going to do something called game by numbers, and I'm going to pick a player, and I'm going to throw out some stats and a reason as to why they played well. And as Cozzy mentioned, the man that I've picked is Levi Colwill for today.
I thought you were picking Danny Ward then. I'll go for that, mate.
There's only one number with Danny Ward.
We'll have a big numbers.
We'll have a big one, yeah. But, let's wish Danny Ward the best, because I've had heart palpitations before, and they're not nice. But Levi Colwill, passing
palpitations, what's in town on a regular basis, mate.
Yeah, mate. Passing accuracy 77.3%, which is not so bad for a defender when you're going direct. 1 interception, 3 tackles, 2 block shots, 5 clearances, and 1 big goal. I've put Levi Colwill, 18 years old. Only Naby Sarr made more clearances for Town, but Naby Sarr excellent at the minute. He's the spare man who just mops up, isn't he? But Levi Colwill, 18 years of age, looks every bit the England youth player, looks every bit a potential future. I'm going to say it, future international. At his age, he's 18 years old, and he looks like a Rolls Royce at the back there. He does make mistakes, but what the best thing is, when he makes a mistake, he makes up for it straight away. He's straight on it. He's so switched on. There's a couple of times he gets wrong side or he misses a header, but straight away he'll mop up and he'll cover his own mistake. I think this is a great signing. And when we dig out the recruitment team a lot, don't we? And it's only fair when someone like this comes in, you have to say, do you know what? Good job. You know what I mean? Because Levi Colwill looks, and like Phil says, when the sun's shining, you've got to make the most of it, don't you? When it is, because sometimes it does rain. But so far, so good, Cozzy. He looks an exceptional player.
Looks like he's enjoying football. That was the thing on that tweet that's gone a bit mental today. I think for me, when you're playing academy football, under 23 football, there's no crowds, there's no kind of passion. You're playing in kind of Barnett's ground, and who did Chelsea play? They played Kingstonia, I don't know, but there's no one there watching. And then it's
older shot, something like that.
I was just thinking that's why I put that tweet out, because what it must be like to score in front of 2,000 mad Town fans in the last minute when you've never really scored before playing, probably it is academy days and senior football. It's hard to put a.
You got people coming over the hoardings at you as well, haven't you?
You know what to do. You kind of put the shirt up and then you put it down, and then lads will come in and you're shall I usher them off or shall I jump in? But no, the only God, here we go, just kind of tempering a little bit. But I saw a lot of people comparing Ben Chilwell for obvious kind of reasons. But And it's a good start, but come on, it's like Championship football. I just hope his body is going to cope with it and that. So that's going to be where Carlos.
He needs to manage him, doesn't he?
Nico is. They're going to have to manage him well because I think already there's been kind of one or two kind of issues with his fitness as well. But the early signs look really, really good. I mean, and again, they're not firing on all cylinders, but Bernie. They were doing a great job on God, how much do they?
Who's Bernie? Did you just say Bernie, or did I just hear things?
I don't know Bernie because 20 million, and
he did say Bernie.
Who's Bernie?
McBurney, Ollie McBurney.
Oh, McBurney, sorry. I lost that for
the best mates, aren't they? Bernie.
You had nearly £50 million worth of striking talent on the pitch there.
Yeah. And McBurney's a decent international footballer. He's not bad. Having a tough time, but he's not bad.
No, I just think, let's let him develop in that as well. I don't know when they finished the article, but I see a leader there as well. That's what I like to see, and that's unbelievable, really, coming in at such a young age to kind of man's football, shall we say, a club. I mean,
did see that with Chilwell as well.
Another thing, Matt, I think you've got to give him a bit of credit for. He could have easily maybe gone to someone like a Charlton or someone Fulham or whatever, stay down south and that as well. The fact that he's kind of come up as comfort zone, come like total north is, I know it's not a million miles away, but for me, that tells you a lot about the guy, really, that is willing to, come and, really get involved in that as well. And that's just going to do such a power of good, that goal and that as well. And it's really nice. I think the centre-backs were real issues last year. And Sarr, he's always going to be prone to one or two errors, but, Pearson, and Colwill, I think we're looking in much better shape so far.
And Tom Lee's played well against Preston, to be fair to him. To say he hadn't played for ages, he did a good job, to be fair to him.
Do you think the decision for Colwill to come here is the fact that we do try and play out from the back, and it suits?
I think it's that, and I think we've proven in the past with likes of Trev, and other players that we can. Oh, okay, we had our injuries last year, but we've proven in the past that we can look after and help develop these kids as well. So it's important. I think that's a huge thing as well, mate.
I thought they only came because of Danny Cowley, though.
Say that again?
I thought they only came because of Danny Cowley, these guys.
Smith Rowe. Well, we got Smith Rowe, didn't we? What a player he was. Pos, we've seen his interviews. There's an interview as well on HTTV with Levi Colwill, and he's such a grounded individual as well. Throwing that ex-centre back card at you again, but what have you made to him as well? And the back three in general, Pearson, possibly a mistake on that Billy Sharp goal, wasn't there, where he kind of maybe got a bit tight, but we've won the game, so we won't delay on or mess with anything like that. What have you made of the back three in general and Levi himself?
I think we've done all right. Obviously, Fulham aside, we were pretty pathetic throughout, really, weren't we? But I like Corberan. I think he's got a bit of swagger about him. He's obviously coming from Chelsea and he's 18, and for him to come on loan to a Championship club, he's obviously in the frame for moving forward into Chelsea's first team. He's not a Chelsea youth player that's never really going to play, because they seem to have every player under the sun at Chelsea, don't they? But for him to come to a Championship club, he's probably knocking on the door there, and it's probably come here to give us some game experience. I like his confidence. There were a moment at Derby that made me laugh. He'd sort of put a tackle in Derby's final third, and ball kind of broke wide, and he was sort of going towards Sorba Thomas, and at the centre half, you're thinking, do you know what, this ball needs to go in box, I'll leave it to winger. And he sort of looked at Thomas and said, leave this, I've got it under control, and sort of carried on down wing and put a decent cross in. So he's certainly not lacking in regards to confidence. And if we are playing like 3-5-2, you've probably got one of each type of defender there. You've got you've got Pearson, who's probably more old school, shall we say, probably maybe doing him a little bit of a disservice, but to use your frame, a bit of a clogger, where he's basically just there to edit, kick it.
Doubted me there, didn't you? Just doubted me.
Just defends, doesn't he?
He stick his head where boots are, doesn't he?
Probably, a little bit of both. Likes to play, or likes to try and play, but also a good sort of defender. And same with with Colwill on the other side. So as a three, you've got a good mix there for me, and Nicholls behind, I think, as Phil says, just fills everybody with confidence. There were moments on Saturday where if it was Schofield in net with balls sort of pinging around, and balls are coming in, you're probably getting a little bit nervous. But as Phil says, when I went across to Southport, it was the first time I'd seen him play, and even my little lad, similar to your lad Phil, were White's keepers shouting all the time. He told him off a couple of times for swearing, but again, it were very similar. Phil, it weren't bollocking folk, or it were just helping, giving instructions, and it weren't just to the defence either. It were shouting right down to forward, and letting them know. And as a defender, that's invaluable. If you don't need to look over your shoulder, if you know what's there, it gives you an extra half a second, and that half a second can make a difference between, making the tackle and bringing them down for a penalty, or not making a tackle, whichever it may be. So that little unit now in front of goal, although it probably contradicts what I said last week, is it does seem quite solid. Pearson, again, like you say, on the goal, thought I could probably done a little bit better, but it's a bit of a scramble. It's 92nd minute. He's probably not as composed as what you'd like to be. So, you can maybe forgive him for that. And Billy Sharp is a decent striker, and he knows where goal is and stuff. So I did say at the start of the season that I thought we'd be a little bit more solid defensively. That kind of went out the window after Fulham, but after seeing Preston and Sheffield United, it's going back onto that trajectory where I think we'll be better. And in some respects, although losing 5-1 at home is never really a good thing, in long run for Town it might have been, because it does make you more aware of your frailties, especially in defence. And if they've worked on that, okay, well, Preston were only a couple of days later, wasn't it? So they can't have done too much on it. But if they've worked on the shape, they've worked on positioning, and it helps for the rest of the season, then you take that 5-1 defeat on chin and say, do you know what, we're better for that experience. So I don't think we're too bad on Saturday. We were, we did what we needed to do.
I'm just trying to bring it a bit down to earth a little bit, but we only have 30% possession yesterday. The one thing that does worry me still is dictating the game. I thought Tuesday night we saw our problems there, where it's like Preston were awful. It's like, say to us, right, let's do what you got. And we had absolutely little. Yesterday, we're pretty much, let's kind of frustrate them and try and get them on the counter, which we did. I thought it was to say, Fulham.
Maybe that's just a better way to play though, Cozzy, because it's interesting you mentioned possession, because I read something earlier that last season we were topping 65-70% possession, and we almost did to Sheffield United what teams did to us last year, because we had very little threat going forward, and teams almost seem happy to let us have the ball, because if we could get into their final third, they knew that we weren't really going to hurt them, and then they could get us on the break. And maybe Town need to play a little bit like that. If we are going to be more solid in defence, we kind of sucker teams forward and then hit them on the break with your Karomas, with your Thomases, and maybe that's a purposeful change in tactics from Carlo.
I think you can get away with it at Bramall Lane, Pos, but against Reading on Saturday, fans ain't going to be wanting to watch.
No, home games are obviously different, and I've been saying to you, and we maybe had a little bit of a disagreement about how we set up at Sheffield United, and I'd love to see us play on the front foot a little bit more and play. Get it wide, get it forward, get your exciting players.
Get it forward, yeah.
Get it forward, but not a lump. Like a nice pass across the turf out to someone.
A nice crisp crossfield pass.
Yeah. Where's the playmaker? We haven't got anyone there. It's a huge issue that hasn't been sorted, and Bacuna's gone. It still doesn't feel like to me someone else is going to come in. We never know. When's the window? Is it next week?
No, I think centrally, mate, you are right, bang on. We need a centre midfielder, or certainly an attacking 8 or a 10.
It's a top team down there, and we ain't got that. But yeah, we got lucky yesterday. Let's be honest.
Don't bring it down. We were class, mate. We were class for
in
injury time.
What did Wagner used to say? The harder you work, the luckier you get. So we'll use it all saying.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
We played obviously on Saturday yesterday, like we played Tuesday night, didn't we? And Tuesday night we had 2 holding midfielders, and they were literally, we're talking about how solid we are in defence. I'm not surprised, because they're literally shielding the back 3. They never pressed the ball. Tuesday night was horrendous. It was the worst I've seen for a long time, because we were so adamant on keeping solid. And when you try and break, there's still not enough numbers to break quickly, because there's too many players towards the back. So something will have to change in terms of formation, irrelevant of bringing another player in who's going to dictate in midfield, because he ain't going to get hold of that ball if we play like we're playing at the moment. So I just wonder whether he's just going, do you know what, let's shore up, let's try and break him on the counter. It worked. It's going to work away from home. It's not going to work at home. No. I mean, how many shots did we have on target Tuesday?
None.
I don't think we had any, did we?
Didn't have a shot on
Don't
target.
you class hitting the post a shot on
No,
target?
it doesn't.
No, it's
mate.
off
Target. Target's
no,
not. That's not target, is it, Phil? Otherwise it'd be a
It's
goal.
not a goal. Not a goal.
Oh,
if it hits the
mate,
post,
I went
mate.
for a bit of
So what happens if it hits the post and goes in?
That's on target then, isn't it? 'Cause it's
That's
going in
That's
the
on
net.
target, innit? 'Cause it's going in.
It's still hit post first.
Yeah, but then it's bounced in. So...
No, you'd be spewing, wouldn't you, if you were a striker? If it's smashed stanchion, like worldy shot, and then it's not on target.
No, I could never believe that. But
It's treated like a corner flag botherer. Yeah. Right, guys. Sorry, cause you finish well, and then I'll move on.
God, I don't want to. Obviously, it's been really positive, but
Let's cut it there then.
Sheffield United in turmoil. Preston, horrendous. Derby, the worst derby we've ever seen. That Fulham.
Mate, they've only lost one game in 4. Derby, they're not bottom. They're actually they've done better than what we thought.
Than anyone probably thought now, and as well. But I still think it papers over some big cracks. As much as I loved what we did yesterday and Tuesday, there's a lot of work to do, and it does feel like to me that. I don't know, it's the vibes, but normally you do a bit of rumours with that reluctant guy or chicken or what have you, but to me it feels there's no one coming in.
I don't think anyone would disagree, because I don't think anybody's suggesting that we've suddenly turned into peak Barcelona and we're going to win league or all like that. But it's just nice, and it just
enjoy the wins. Enjoy the wins.
Let's get through the weekend and then start worrying about the rest of it. Like you said last night, mate. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the win.
Yeah. I will do, but what I'm saying, the windows fast come in to shut. Another sub-town.
It is concerning, mate. You are right, and I do think long term, certainly from now till January, if we don't bring anybody in, we will struggle. As soon as we get a couple of injuries or suspensions or whatever, then we desperately need some quality reinforcements.
Just showed Toffolo. It's one of our. I would have written down as quality. I think we wrote it down in Koroma, Toffolo. I think people we kind of thrown out.
Lewis.
Yeah, and hopefully Colwill's going to kind of come in that quality bracket now. But
Naby Sarr at the minute, mate.
Toffolo's quality was there for all to see, mate.
Yeah.
Like yesterday for his involvement when he came. Brilliant, mate.
His reaction when we scored as well was great. But I just want to just change the tone. Sorry, for want of a better phrase. I'm going to change it. No.
Surely the tone can't get much lower on this.
I know. I need to change what I'm going to talk about now because it doesn't fit. But I do want to change it a little bit because it was announced last night. Terry McDermott's now got. He's announced that he's in the early stages of Lewy body dementia, and it's such a horrible disease. And I just wanted to put a note in that, even though he won't listen to this, but just want to put a note in that everybody, I'm sure, would wish him all the best in what he's got forthcoming, because he was always a very likable and jovial, nice chap, Terry Mack. So, it's horrible news to hear. So I just wanted to wish him all the best from us guys. And
yeah, definitely.
Just right quickly, just a really funny story about Terry McDermott. Just because you said he was a real likable chap, I'll never forget when we went to Brentford when Rhodes scored. Did he score 4?
Yeah,
against Brentford away. Back in day, we were stood outside when players were getting back on coach. There's a few of us there, and a couple of Brentford fans were started having a go, and it got a little bit of argy-bargy, as it does. And a fan who shall remain nameless slotted this Brentford fan, and Terry McDermott was stood in doorway at coach just eating a slice of pizza, laughing his head off, which I always think about and always makes me laugh. So just to echo your well wishes, hopefully he don't suffer too much.
Yeah, like a nod of improvement.
Yeah, mate, it was just almost like cracking shot that lad.
Terry Mack, he's top man, Terry Mack, and I heard some good stories about him as well when he was there with Lee Clark, and whenever Lee Clark used to use his rag, he always used to be brilliant at calming Clark down, apparently, and he used to refer to him as Gnasher when he used to get, when he used to gnash his teeth and go mad. So all the best to Terry McDermott, top man. So all the best, Terry. Right, guys, we'll move on, and we're altering the tone again, and it's back to the football forum. So I know you guys you've enjoyed this, haven't you, in the last couple of weeks? The tone's different on this as well, believe it or not, after a couple of wins. We've not got as many messages through now. We've won a couple of games, but there are some good ones. So thank you to everybody who has sent us a message. We do appreciate it when you guys help us set the agenda, because there's always some great points that come up that we wouldn't think of. So we do appreciate you guys sending those in. And I've picked 2 out. The first one I've picked out is from Clark Eastwood. He's mentioned in the game, invited lots of pressure but defended the box surprisingly well. This is about the game against Sheffield, obviously. With 3 centre-backs, you cannot play Hogg, Sarr, and he says, put Sarr and Colwill are currently undroppable, and Toff back made a difference. Absolutely brilliant to see 2 massive shithouse wins, but we must bring in those creative midfielders as soon as possible. So he's pretty much put something in for everybody there. He's mentioned the creative midfielders, which Cozzy is driving the bus about. Not, he's on the wagon, he's driving the wagon, he's not on it. And then something I mentioned as well about Jonathan Hogg dropping a bit deep. And it's not just this one game. There are several games whereby if we play a 3-5-2, Hoggy does have a tendency, I don't know if it's instruction or whether it's Hoggy, just to drop a little bit onto the centre-back's toes, and it does give us a few problems. But he did push up when we changed system, and he was excellent, Hoggy, in that sort of last half hour. I
think you can play Hoggy in a 3 if you play
against
3-5.
Preston. They're putting back there against Preston.
Yeah, I think it's where you put your other 2 midfielders, and I think if you drop someone else next to him, I think it's pointless. Like I said before, it's pointless. I think you've got enough cover there, and too many times against Preston, we had 2 defenders who weren't even marking. 2 of the 3 weren't even marking anybody. That can't happen. And then we also had 2 holding midfielders in front who were marking the people that the defenders should have been marking. So I think you can play 1, but I think for 2, I think it's pointless.
It's a little bit like England in Euros, isn't it? Playing,
exactly.
Phillips and Rice. I know Phillips can play a little bit further forward than he did, but it's that sort of debate, isn't it? Why do you need them both?
Yeah, I agree.
Fully. Right, yeah. So Robert Smith, this might resonate with you a bit, Cozzy, because it's pretty similar to what you said a couple of minutes ago, where Rob's put papers over the cracks. Sorry, Corberan out of his depth. Rhodes injured, and we have Ward and Campbell who are hopeless. Hogg picked on past glory. Still a long season ahead. Do you think that's fair? I think you've also got to factor in Pippa and Toffolo returning, potential of Sinani maybe. Maybe we're a bit better when they come back in. Campbell made a good impact as well. I think one issue from that is Fraser Campbell's still our best striker, lads. We've gone out and signed a couple over the last 12 months, and Fraser's still the best one for me. And maybe that indicates an issue in itself.
The other thing is for me, Matt, though, when Danny Ward's done absolutely nothing in the games that he has, when you're coming on as a striker, you're always going to look better. That's the one thing I didn't get involved with the goalkeeper debate, but that's one thing that does. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I've liked what I've seen, so far, but it's because Schofield's been so poor that he's looked kind of really solid. And it's like there, I'm just thinking Campbell running about, bits and bats. If you're being brutally honest, if Ward had that opportunity yesterday, we'd have been going nuts wanting on that as well. He wanted a penalty for me, and I think Campbell was a bit embarrassed.
I don't think he was. There was contact, but the defender was ahead of him, wasn't he? He had more control of the ball than Fraser, to be fair.
You're right, and the Rhodes news is concerning, but I didn't think. Sinani's, I'm really pinning my hopes on him, Matt. I mean, I didn't watch the game on Wednesday. Oxford, was it in the?
We'll come back to Sinani because there is somebody has raised the issue of Sinani a bit later on, so we'll come to Sinani. I totally agree
with was it Robert what he says there and that as well.
Rob Smith.
We have, and I love the win as much as anyone yesterday, but
let's not get carried away.
Reading's going to be a fascinating one because I don't think they're up to much, are they, at the moment? We're at home. I think there'll be expectations that can we build on it? 3 wins in a row. They'll be examining wheeling out. Last time won 3 in a row. We're 1942, whatever. So everyone's going to be like going in there. No, but Huddersfield fans will rock up on Saturday expecting 3 points against Reading. That is a fact. But if we'd have got a draw against Preston and Bramall Lane, we wouldn't have done. So the different type of expectation. I'm interested to see next Saturday how we're going to kind of rise that.
We'll handle it. That's interesting. Interesting point.
If you remember last year, Reading, they did a right job on us. You remember that? But Lucas Yao were like on fire against us, and
John Swift's a class player, and he didn't play against us at our place last year. He's a quality player. And Ejaria, they've got some good players. Got that lad from Leeds. I think he's born in Leeds, but he's not. I don't think he's played in their academy. Rinamoto as well in midfield is decent. They've got some good players, Reading. No doubt about it.
You've got to, you've got to enjoy your good days. 100% agree with what was said there in the forum and that as well. But part of me thinks we've got 7 points where I thought we'd have maybe 4 tops. So we're ahead of where I think we were going to be.
And we did say last. I think it was on the podcast last week or in the WhatsApp group that maybe we've got a bit lucky with the fixtures. Sheffield United are in a mess, Derby in a mess. Maybe I always think that the fixtures haven't been kind to us over the last few years, and we've played teams when they're in form. But this year, it's given us a chance to build a start. But
Forrester, rock bottom.
You know what? Though, it does give us that sort of springboard to go on because they were under pressure, weren't they? The whole place were under pressure to get some results, and we've done that now, regardless of how we've played. Like Ozzy says, we've got 7 on board, which at the start of the season, if someone said you get 7 out of the first 12, you'd have bitten their hand off. So if you're just looking at the straight facts of the matter, it's been a good start, and your performances can come. But if we'd have played really well and not had any points, would you swap that for this? Probably not. So you've got to sort of, take a step back sometimes. No, but I'm not sort of suggesting that it was anywhere near the finished article, because, we're nowhere near. We all know that. But it's just nice, isn't it, just to look at the table and be able to look in top half, is nice.
Top 10 Terriers, I think you said, didn't you?
Top 10 Terriers. We're a top 30 club now. Phil will be happy. Everyone will be happy.
It's like what you said there, Paz. I totally agree, because Nottingham Forest, they finished the season in a mess last season. Chris Hughton, and they've not got a point, mate. They've lost every game. They're in deep trouble. Talk of him, 2 games to go, what have you. So the pressure's massively on them. He was on Carlos coming into after the Fulham debacle. And yeah, they've still got his doubters and his doubts for me, 100%. But he's bought some time now to kind of get it right. And hopefully, with Bacuna out, and fingers crossed, Phil can work some magic getting Mbenza out, and maybe even O'Brien out, and then a couple in. I think this is going to be an interesting week on and off the pitch, I think, for Town. I think there'll be movement.
Yeah, it's a big week, definitely.
I'm going to fire through a couple of these, and then we'll sit on Jack Boothroyd's. Richard Hookey said, I feel after last year he is trying to make us more solid, i.e. Carlos, but great buzz after that ending and 42 games to go. He did say last week to us, reason to be positive is 44. So fair play, Richard. Jack Boothroyd has said, feels great to enjoy an away win, especially a last-minute winner. However, we can't let the last 20 minutes of the game distract us from the fact at one point we had no shots and they had 12 or so. We seriously need a decent striker.
It just flashed up on the screen that yesterday. I was like, Jesus, we're going to win 2-1, so it don't matter.
Yeah. We seriously need a decent striker, otherwise we'll struggle. I agree. I think we need a new forward. Carlos's fast attacking style of football was nowhere to be seen in this team anywhere throughout the game. It's hardly like we were playing Fulham, West Brom, or another heavy hitter, although some idiot did predict Sheffield United to finish second this season, but we'll skate over that. We can't have another season of hoping there are 3 worse sides in the league than us. That being said, some good positives from today other than the win. Colwill, Sorber, and JK are brilliant. Sarr had a great game and is as responsible for the win as those 3 were. Nicholls seems to be a great piece of business as well. The shots is true. We were lucky to survive, maybe, although... I'm going to be an XG wanker and say that our XG was 1.41 and Sheffield United was 0.9. So, fully deserved. There you go.
Yeah, but
you can feel free to jump in on that one. Yep.
I just like to congratulate him on getting all that information into one tweet.
No, there's 3 there. There's 3.
But what I'd say, argue back, Sheffield are out of sorts. Their quality's there for all to see.
So were we, mate. So were we.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. The jury's out, mate. And if you think that we won yesterday without the 3 amigos contributing, I know Ward had a shirt on for 45 minutes. Ward, Holmes, Rhodes, nowhere to be seen. So 3 of these big signings that are meant to strengthen us, they did nothing for us yesterday, and we still won. So I think we've got to take a positive out of that. We've won despite of and Pippa out. So there is kind of a lot of positives to take from that. Who's missing really, and that as well. But Sinani's still not. Right, so
that goal Sinani scored for the B team in midweek. There's some quality there, hopefully. But Stephen Murray says something to build on, and at Dave 956049759. You can change that, Dave. Says FC shithouse march on, which is great. But one that I'll probably stop on and pause for a minute is from William Bradbury, who says, "What is the point of Sinani? Is he a creative midfielder? If so, bring him on. If he's a winger, I don't think Norwich want him on the bench behind Thomas and Karoma. Neither should be dropped unless injured." And it's a good question, but Sinani, before we scored, Sinani was just about to come on actually and get, the sort of 15, 16 minutes. He was stood on the touchline, with the shirt on, training top off, and he was ready to come on. And then we scored, and then Carlos changed it and brought Vallejo on. But yeah, Sinani, he's definitely one that we Everton are coming up in the cup in midweek. Whether we go with a slightly weaker team, who knows? But you would want to see Sinani in this game, wouldn't you guys? Just to see what he's about, because we brought him in on loan. His goal scoring record in Luxembourg's ridiculous, although I think Cosy might get a few goals in that league. But, he looks like he could be exciting, and we want to see this guy, don't we? Anyone?
It's weird. It is weird, like how, you've got to obviously trust in Carlos and how he sees it, but I don't think Saturday were probably a game for him to. those kind of players, Rolls Royce players, if that's the way he plays, it's pointless bringing someone like that on in a game like that for me. So maybe it wasn't kind of the right time. I think it will feature, but he's going to feature this week, definitely. So, I mean, he looked great, didn't he? He looked like he had all the time in the world in the game the other night when he scored. So, I've seen a few of the highlights.
Yeah, lovely touch.
Looks a good player. Looks a real player. So, I just think a bit of patience, really, and
I don't think it's being fit, Phil. It reminds me of the old Football Manager games I used to play. You used to get your squad, and you used to have like how fit there was, something like 78%, 90, and then you used to think I'll play him for like 45 and get the levels up. I think it's kind of what's happening with our team, and COVID has kind of knocked a lot of our guys back. So it's from the outside looking in, you think, well, why aren't they in? But I just think there's a lot more destruction, which mentioned in his pre-match.
I think Phil's hit the nail on the head there. You don't bring an attacking flair player on when you've just gone 1-0 up, do you? And you shut away from home,
everyone were defending. Yeah, the only players you bring on for that would be maybe attacking wide player or the striker, where you're looking for a breakaway, someone at middle of park to try and get into a game. They're never getting in that game.
Why was Colwill in the box anyway? Any ideas?
We just had a corner, haven't we? We just had a corner.
You know what? It reminded me of F against Leeds, because he was in the corner, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of broke down, and I bet he just thought, I can't be asked legging it out.
Yeah, should have been running back.
They're defending.
I tell you what, it were amazing work by. I know Corwill's obviously scored it, and he's getting a lot of the plaudits, rightly so. But Harry Toffolo, because if you watch it back, as I've watched it, and many people will have done
about 14 times,
I think it was Vallejo. The ball that he plays in is actually, you can see it's meant for Lewis O'Brien. It's a really bad pass, and Toffolo picks up on it like that, and he sort of barges his way through. And, he's screaming at you, tell him swear, or if you're there, and he does it.
I thought he were off.
Level.
It just happened, and I thought this is too good to be true. He must be off, and they kind of, because he didn't know what to do, celebrate. So we're all a bit. When you see that freeze, it's perfect. He's just on side.
I couldn't celebrate for laughing because I felt like we'd absolutely shithoused them, and I was just in stitches. It was brilliant. Let's fire through some of these. So Nathan M says, terrible first 70 minutes, but the changes Carlos made were spot on and made the difference. Solid defensive performance with another decent game for Naby Sarr. And it was good to see Koroma on the score sheet. A point would have been fair, but I'll not turn down 3. Dag Barnett says, a fantastic end and all credit for keeping going. It's churlish, but necessary to point out to the issues we still have, though. I hope we don't think we have enough to take us to January now. We need better in midfield and up front, which has been echoed by us guys. Sivan John says, after Sheffield United had scored an equaliser, I concluded that a point seemed reasonable, but football, just like in life, does have a habit of a surprise twist at the end. I'm glad this time it was in our favour. Doesn't matter how you win, every point counts for something. And Gamer James FM says, Football Manager there for you, Cozzy, if you want to watch a couple of Football Manager games. James has, I think he's got an online stream and stuff.
I don't think it's Gamer, mate.
It definitely says Gamer James.
Fix my eyes.
Perfect away.
Some new lenses in glasses.
Yeah, mine aren't strong enough. But Gamer James says perfect away performance. Frustrated the home side and crowd and got the ultimate smash and grab. 2 wins in a row and 7 points already. James, get in touch with Cozzy and show him some Football Manager from 2021. Jerry Hinnon, a genuine American Huddersfield Town fan and not an expat. Jerry Hinnon. If Carlos can rediscover last season's attack to pair with this season's defence, and if we can see more of Koroma and Thomas either side of a front 3, we might. Town could really get somewhere. If Carlos defense. If Carlos rediscovers last season's defense to pair with this season's attack, the place Town could get might be the drop. But today's obviously a day for the positive. And then we'll finish with our final 3. Jordan France says, defended really solidly and held a good shape. Looked much improved after the subs. Campbell enables us to put the press on from the front, and Toff gives us natural width down the left. Sauber outstanding again. Hopefully we can really use these results and take off. Mate, I've had the beer and I'm not as bad as what I was last week, so I'm getting through these. John Broadley says, reminds me of one of the games from the Wagner promotion season. Not pretty, but we looked hard to beat today. A late winner like that was a much missed moment of euphoria and can only help build confidence up the Town. And finally, HCFC Hursty says, it doesn't matter how we do it or how we play. Happy to get the points. Big away victory. Lee Nicholls makes all the difference. Love the mentality after conceding an equaliser to go and win it. And I think that's something we've not really said is the strength that, we've criticised, haven't we, Pause? Me and you have both said maybe mentally this squad's got maybe a couple of demons still, maybe not the strongest. But, you know, they've conceded an equaliser and they've bounced back and got a winner there. And you've got to, like you said, doff your cap and, you know, we're all happy at the end of the day.
I think another thing... Sorry, Pods.
No, mate, I was going to say there's obviously a lot of critics at Huddersfield Town at the moment, and you know that's notwithstanding what we say on this podcast. I'd like to think that we offer some sort of constructive criticism if you know we are criticising and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that are out there that just don't like what's going on down there at the moment and can't really seem to praise, even though it's needed. So sometimes you have just got to say, do you know what, we've done well today, and I still don't like everyone, but today we've done well. So it's nice to see. It's nice to see that there's a little bit of that in some fans, and there's a bit of positivity creeping back in. 'Cause it has been such a long time since we've had any sort of hope or any sort of, you know, inkling that we might even do well. And these, although not great performances, we've come out with wins. And you know, if you can win when you're playing bad, what might happen when we start playing well?
I think the biggest thing to come out of it all is we win that game, we're all sat on the sofas with our follows and there's just empty red seats and no one in the ground. It's totally different. It's incredible to think yesterday there were 29,000 in the ground. I can't get over it. It's like COVID's still here, the infections are still here, but it's almost like someone's just flicked a switch and we're like back to normal. It's Spain's really different. I just kind of some games tonight. It's only like 10,000 in the grounds and some it's like 8,000 and they go, oh, there's no social distance. There's a lot of issues there, but it's like ours. I mean, it's like COVID's gone. It is just beautiful thing. And it's
great, mate. Even watching highlights, though, you know, like you say, you can watch it on TV, and I've watched Quest, and you look through results, don't you? And you think, oh, I'll have a look at that. And found myself watching Bradford City v Mansfield because I knew they'd scored right at the end, and you know, you can see crowd behind net going mental.
What league's that?
Oh, non-league. It came on about 3:30 in the morning. I think we're that far down. But do you know what I mean? Like, just to see the crowd going mental. I think the Forest Green Rovers scored 6 and they were going wild, and it's just absolutely fantastic to see.
Yeah, Bradford will go up this year, mate. I put a 5
like,
on them. No,
Tuesday was my first home game. I didn't go to the Fulham one, but it was brilliant to see like Preston bring. They were good following with the 1,500 there. It felt like it. They were not saying, you're not singing anymore. You know, all that stuff. It was quite emotional, really, just thinking this is. Because to me, this felt miles off. I just thought there's no way this could come back like it has. There'd be distancing, there'd be coming in one exit the others, no away fans. The fact that we're pretty much back to normal, touch wood, it's brilliant, mate. Honestly, it makes football just so much watchable again. And I know some people didn't watch when there were no crowds and stuff. It's not football for me. And the fact that, you know, like we were saying, Pos, how the crowd would it have on time? Because I was thinking last year if we'd have had them in, because people say, oh, it's good job they're waiting, they'd have been all on. But you just like that encouragement. You know, like yesterday when it's 1-1 and fans, you want to see a last minute. We don't think, oh, we've got to go up at Bramall, so go on. Like, all that little stuff, I think, makes a difference mentally to kind of players. It's just brilliant, mate. Where we are now, I'm so pleased.
No, it's funny you say what you just said, because I was thinking about that the other day. And, you know, when you stood in crowd and you're berating a player and, you know, you're giving him a load of jip, and then he smashes on it top corner and you're falling over folk to cheer and all stuff like that. And it's just an absolute roller coaster of emotions, isn't it, in 90 minutes? And as much as you think players are crap or whatever, when they do score, you don't just sit there and think, well, he's crap him, I don't like him. You just go mental, don't you? And you love it. So it's really funny, isn't it, being a football fan? Because in 90 minutes you can go from loving someone to hating them to never want him to play again to always going to play for England. And you know, it's not until afterwards, sometimes a couple of days later, when you sit back and absolutely, you know, and analyse it properly, then you know you sort of your true view. But yeah, unbelievable, mate, having fans back. And you know, as you say, hopefully, touch wood, it can continue. We've got Everton down at Stadium on Tuesday night. I know it's cup, but you know, hopefully we can get a decent crowd in for that, and that should be a good night under lights. 15 quid, £5 for kids, and there's plenty of room at South Stand. If people aren't been in there, it's a good chance to go and experience it in there. Not that I'm trying to sell it here for a club or out like that, but you know, if you've never been in there before, try get in there.
Mate, you do enough marketing for this football club.
In that area, though, it is a little bit more raw, because a little bit more mental. So if you've never been in there before, try get yourself.
What were your views on Everton not getting 4,000? I've got to be honest, that controversially, but I think we're missing out on money, which we obviously. I thought that would I know whether I don't know if you'd have to put them in Southend or put them in Kilmarnock. I think we've tossed money away there, you know.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? It's one of them where on one hand, it's money, but then on the other hand, do you want to give an away team the advantage in that sort of game? If they wanted to give them loads, that South Stand now is almost like the spiritual home, and I think if you give it up once, do you have to then look and give it up on a more regular basis?
Season ticket holders there, and they're going to be a bit
Yeah,
pissed
I don't
off,
think fans would be too happy with.
But credit to
we
Phil,
worked so hard.
credit to the chairman.
We worked so hard to get that area, though. We worked so hard and we campaigned and we pushed the club, and I think the club recognised that, and I think again I take my hat off to the club for not maybe bowing to getting an extra couple of 100,000 in.
It'd be like 30 grand though, wouldn't it? Really,
it won't be a right lot, in comparison to what it could have done. So fair play to the club there. They've obviously considered it, and like I say, it's up to us now to go down there and fill it best we can and make the noise to maybe try and get a result there as well. I don't think Everton will come with a full squad, so it's we've got every opportunity at the moment. A feel-good factor should be there after the last two results. So get your send down. What else are you going to do on a Tuesday? Watch Coronation Street or something? So
Love Island.
Is it? No, it'll be finished by then.
Phil, what
How's
is
it not been finished, Boz?
Phil? What's Love Island? What is this love stuff?
Well, is it
This is a Huddersfield thing, isn't it? Love rather than love.
It's love, isn't it? It's Love Island.
Brilliant.
What do you say?
Love.
Oh, you're weird.
All right, love.
All right, love.
Love.
All right, Love Island.
All right, love.
Right, guys, I just want to bookend the Sheffield United game. So earlier today, I spoke to Johnny Gascoigne from the Shore and View. Johnny's a top lad, and we did a little interview, and here's what Johnny had to say on the game yesterday from a Sheffield United point of view.
We're sorry, your call cannot be taken as dialed.
No one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Johnny from the Shore and View, thank you very much for joining us on the Andy Takes That Chance podcast. Yesterday, Johnny, is probably going to be a game of very contrasting emotions. Huddersfield getting the winner in the 94th minute. In the away end, as a Huddersfield fan, you're all going crazy, and everything that happened before the 94th minute is probably irrelevant at that point. But as a home fan, to lose in that way probably either leaves you feeling pretty despondent or even foaming at the mouth.
First off, yeah, thank you for having me on. And you've hit nail on the head. Very contrasting emotions. First off, fair play to Huddersfield. Came, did a job, got battered, and took all 3 points. What more can you want on an away day? That is like the most joyous kind of an away day. It's all right to go to an away day, dominate from start to finish and win. That's all well and good. But when you're on the back foot for most of the game and you sneak those 3 points, it must be brilliant for your lot to just rub that in our faces. And you know what? You deserved it. You took your chances, we didn't. And that's what football's all about at the end of the day. I do think that around the 75th minute, 80th minute, we just looked to run out of energy. There were 3 players on the pitch who had stinkers in my eyes. The usually reliable John Egan. He did not have his finest night in a Sheffield United shirt. He just didn't have a good game in my view. And then you've got your midfield two of Fleck and Norwood. They used to be the linchpins of this team, and now they're the ones letting us down the most. Sander Berger, brilliant player. But again, absolutely knackered after 75, 80 minutes. We have to regroup quick. We have to go again, because to lose that kind of game where you've dominated 90% of it, and in that 10% you didn't dominate, you've conceded 2 poor goals to give away. It's just a sickener, really. Absolute sickener. And things do need to change fast. It were a vast improvement from the West Brom game, but still, when you're not taking them chances in the final third, it's not good enough. And we can't rely on Billy Sharp to do it for us all the time. He's, 53 now? And I'm lost for words on how we did not get anything from that game.
Vivienda de mierda. I think that's what they refer to it as in Spanish, Johnny. So Sheffield United and Huddersfield, there are a lot of parallels really with the way that we've both fallen out of the Premier League in the last couple of years. Do you think then that Sheffield United are having a similar problem to what Huddersfield did a couple of years ago, in that it was a very tough second season in the Premier League, and then what you find is confidence in the players, confidence in the team, the fans go flat, and everything just
becomes a bit of a struggle, especially when you're so used to losing over a long period. Are you finding that with Sheffield United now? Some idiot here on this podcast tipped you for second place this season. Does the start worry you a little bit?
Say on Pascal Pujeta, as they say in Finnish, I think is how we describe how it's going so far. Look, I don't want to draw too many similarities straight away. I can see why they're coming up. Huddersfield, great first season, but I don't mean this in any kind of disrespect. That first season of the Premiership, we didn't just stay up. We were the talking point. We were the ones who were shocking everybody, and we had a top 10 finish. And then we had a massive fall from grace due to losing one player, which shows how much that squad needed investment in the right areas. And I think that is our biggest problem. Confidence, all this, that, and the other. Yeah, it plays a part, but not having the right players brought in is where we are struggling. And I'd like to say Slav has got it in him to turn it around. I'd like to say that he will get his targets in. But I've been a Blade too long. I know how wrong it can go and how quick it can go wrong. And I think as an Huddersfield fan, you can kind of draw some similarities in that as well. Look, where do we go from here? I do think that we need to turn it around very quickly. We have had worse starts and won promotion. Look at Chris Wilder's first season. Saying that, we've had the right man for the job on paper, had bad starts and continued to get worse. A la Nigel Adkins. 6 games in is where I'll start to worry if there's no 3 points on the board. As it stands now, I'm worried, but I'm not anxious, if that makes any sense.
Can certainly echo those sentiments, Johnny, and as a Huddersfield fan, we know how long it can stay wrong as well, which is all part of the fun of the fair of supporting your football team, I guess. So just the last words then, really, as it's a Huddersfield podcast, I should ask you, what did you make of Huddersfield Town? I know it's early doors. You might not have seen much of us with Sheffield United being in the Premier League, but be just interested to know from an opposition point of view what you thought of us. A lot of people have tipped Huddersfield for relegation, and there's merit in that, I guess, when you look at the last sort of 6 or 7 months in terms of performance and some of the signings we've made over the summer. But as a neutral, what did you make of the Terriers?
That's a difficult one to answer. As I said, for 90% of the game, I think we battered you. But for that 10% where we didn't, you scored 2 goals and looked really good. Really good. I mean, there are some promising players there. I think that you do need to stop letting people come at you so much. It's all right playing counter-attacking football, but not every team is as toothless as we are right now. And other teams will punish you where we did not, and it will be game over in first half. Saying that, I don't think you'll get relegated. I think you've got it in you to stay up. I think you've got it in you if you play like you did yesterday, knowing what you do well, playing to your strengths. If you can toughen it up a little bit, have a bit more of the ball, I think you could have a mid-table dark horse 8th, 9th finish in you. And that's not me sucking up because you beat us. As I said, I think we battered you for most of the game. I don't think you look that great in other areas. But the bits that you did well, you did exceptionally well. And that's not the mark of a team that's going down. I'd like to wish you luck for the rest of the season. But at the moment, I'm not wishing anybody luck. I'm hoping that everybody loses so we can get some points on the board and climb the table. Maybe when we've started climbing, if we start climbing, I wish you luck then. But I wouldn't worry too much about relegation. At the moment, you look like a team who's coming together and not quite there yet, which is something I can echo.
For that, he's a top lad, he's Johnny, and very honest with his views, and we've probably echoed quite a few of them here as well. So I'm going to move on now. I'm going to move on to another one who polarizes views more than Mr. Kosmala down there in that bottom corner of Zoom. Juninho Bacuna, he's gone. Avante, gegen the house. He's out of here. I liked him a lot of the time. Other times I wanted to run on and slot him on the pitch because he's so infuriating. But the talent for me was never in question. An unbelievably talented footballer who, the neurons in his head probably hadn't fired, completely, and it just infuriated me at times because he had this ability. He could have been, for me, the best player in the Championship potentially, or best midfielder, or one of them, and it's maybe just sailed him by a little bit. And maybe part of that, Pos, you've done a little bit with a Rangers podcast, haven't you? I can't remember what it's called. Something to do with Ibrox. Ibrox Rocks, was it? Or something?
Ibrox chat last night. Yeah, I spoke to them and sort of reiterated what you said.
Yeah, I spoke with Hart and Hand as well.
I think it'll be a good mood. I think the talent's there. It's just whether or not he can apply himself. But I do believe Bacuna is one of them that if he's playing in a team that's winning more than it's losing, will be up for it more than he's not. So
and they'll be on the ball as well, won't they? 70% possession and what have you.
Exactly, yeah. Probably enjoys football a little bit more up there. So, yeah, probably a little bit disappointed with Town. He split opinion, didn't he? But I know I'd be one of those that I don't really follow people much when they leave Town because I'm not really that interested. But I was saying last night to a fella from Rangers that actually I will be interested to see what he can do up there. I know, Matt, you were giving me a little bit of nobble. I mentioned it last week about the ridiculous decision to give him a contract. Now we've obviously sold him and got a little bit of money. So
I think you need to apologise to Phil live on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to,
not Phil Senior, Phil Hodgkinson. That is
fair enough. It's
both, please.
Yeah. He's done well to get a fee for him there. I didn't think we would, and I thought we'd be stuck with him. So that's off to everyone down at club that's made that move.
Yeah, just one down, one to go on that front, isn't there?
I'll keep quiet about Benza until he's sold off.
I think Bacuna for me, I'm one of those people that, even if you have a clash with someone in your kind of working life, whatever, I always try and think of like positives or good memories and stuff. So for me, I think when Danny Cowley came in, that little run we had were massive. I thought we were absolutely doomed when Cowley came in, and that goal against Stoke away that Tuesday night, and then he went on kind of a little run. Did he score against Blackburn? Was it? I think on.
Yeah, came off the bench. He came off the bench, and Cowley used to call him a game changer rather than a sub, didn't he? And that was quite.
I thought he torpedoed our season that season. I thought we were looking for some inspiration, and it came from unlikely source because to me he wasn't a guy who you would like kind of pin your hopes on. But yeah, he reverted to type after that. And if you remember that Premier League, he played a lot of times at right back, wasn't he? Really, which
he did all right as well.
Yeah, he got on with it, didn't he? Where a lot of players would have probably. Probably I'd seen someone might tell us, he always won him, but like that was a position I thought, God, that could end in tears. And he did a capable job. So, yeah, I suppose you just got to say Leeds with the best wishes. And, yeah, a bit of a game of Russian roulette with Phil and, kind of...
Bit of unfulfilled potential for us, really, as well. But, that's the only thing. And I did a thing with Heart and Hand, a big Rangers podcast, and they said afterwards, they said that's decent, but it does sound like there might be a bit of regret at Huddersfield that he's not quite gone on to do what they think. And I think that was quite spot on, really.
Any of his shit, Matt, though, that you can bet your bottom dollar.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I said, there's no way he goes to Rangers and he messes about. It just won't happen.
Him and that
this is a centre midfielder and Steven Gerrard's manager, so if he can't learn and play for that, he might as well just hang his boots up.
Him and that Morelos, they're honestly loose.
He's class, mate. He's a class player, Alfredo Morelos. My cousin's a big Rangers fan, season ticket holder, so I've got kind of like half a foot in the Rangers camp. My brother-in-law's a Celtic fan, so that's always fun at Christmas, when they meet each other. But it's but they're both decent. They're both like Huddersfield as well. So I try and remain impartial, but I do prefer Rangers. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And I'm looking forward to it. But I wanted to talk about favourite Bacuna moments because he is a highlights reel player, isn't he? He's not someone you want to watch for 80 minutes. I was saying to the guys, for 5 minutes every couple of weeks, he's the best player in the Championship. But for the other 175 minutes, you want to tear your hair out or tear his out because he's changed it every week. And he's such a frustrating player, but he gave us some great moments. Cosy, you mentioned that Stoke goal. That Stoke goal was huge in terms of that. So that was huge, massive.
I remember that goal last year against, I think, with Derby that Tuesday night. But the fact he wasn't the most classic finish, but the fact that he ran about 80 yards to finish it off and he busted a gut to get in there.
He was involved in the move as well, wasn't he? That was one of the best goals of the season. But
I also have to smile about it now. We can smile about it now, but that Nottingham Forest game where he got the red, that were him all over. What it just
came on as sub, didn't he? And just thought, I'm having this, and then just twatted someone. Yeah.
Never dull. He would probably know more for his hairstyles at times than his, some of his football. But colourful character, and but it will. I agree with you, Pods. I don't think I'm a tune in for Rangers, Ross County, or what have you, but.
Rangers beat them today 4-2.
The next still firm game, mate. I think definitely I will switch the TV.
Yeah, I said
you might not get.
I
said
for that. To a fellow last night they're playing Celtic next week. I think they said, and he said, "If Bacuna features, how do you think he'll handle an Old Firm game?" And I said, "Well, they'll probably play." Smashing it top corner, and 30 seconds later, he'll double foot someone and get sent off. And he said, well, if he does that and we win 1-0, he'll still be an hero. So,
that's probably fair. But go on, pause. Give us a favourite Juninho Bacuna moment of where he's pulled something out. And
to be honest, I think I always remember that game where he I think we went. I can't remember. Well, maybe I say I remember that game. I can't remember who we played, but he filled in at right back for a bit. And I were there, mate. Yeah, and he just sort of smashed anything that moved for about 45
Wolves
minutes.
in the Premier League.
Well, Wolves at home.
D'Amico Dehaney.
Yeah,
D'Amico Dehaney went off, and he started the goal. Mounier scored by absolutely scything someone in the mid.
Yeah, he just nailed anyone. Anyone that had ball would just collateral damage, and he just cracked into everybody. And I think that's the first time that people kind of got behind him. And then obviously, what happened. But yeah, he's one of those. He's amazing that never really did out for Town, yet we're still talking about him quite a lot, if that makes sense. So he's kind of one of them players.
5 or 6 goals a season, 5 or 6 assists.
He did all right, didn't he? Let's be honest. He could have done more. I think that's what little people. Yeah.
Phil, what about you? Have you got any sort of standout moments for that face? Any standout moments? Maybe the time he had the golden doodle haircut, maybe?
I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of highlight reels. He could have 2 lots of highlight reels. And
there's a 12-minute YouTube video of him just taking the piss on YouTube, and he looks phenomenal. He does. He just
and then you could literally see a 12-minute video of him passing ball out of play for 5 yards and walking onto the pitch before the game, not looking asked, kind of giving it big and not tracking runners. So for me, it was such a funny one, wasn't it? He had so much ability.
It was never going to happen though at Huddersfield, were it?
No, but like you said, the things that stand out most are kind of like the individual brilliance that he did. So you made your runs and then it finished at the end. So it just frustrating, wasn't it? Just really frustrating. It's interesting what you said, like you won't be able to do it up in Scotland. Sometimes I think, up at Rangers with Gerrard, sometimes I think games change a little bit, and I think players are players. They're going to behave like they want to behave wherever they play. I think it's irrelevant at what club they're at. If they're that way out, they're going to carry on being that way out.
It's the heat from the supporters up there, mate. If you have one bad training session, those fans will be.
I can't imagine he's going to be the type of person that would let that bother him.
Probably won't give a shit.
He will do when they turn up at his house with pitchforks. Tell you.
Well, yeah, but all the best to him though, because I think
100%.
I'm dying for him to be a success, because I do think he's got everything. He's got, and we've said it. It's like we've said we've never slated him, but when you look on social media, and that it makes me laugh when fans go, right, lads, what we're going to expect, and there were so many positives. Yeah. So many people were like, oh, what an unbelievable player. But while he were here, all you heard was kind of like the negative. Yeah, he's good, but he does this. On some of these kind of feedback, you were like, what a guy. Make sure you look after him. All that kind of rubbish. It's such a difficult one. Do you know what I mean? It's a really, really difficult one for me.
I called him a daisy picker, pause on the podcast I did. I said 1 minute, when you're coaching kids and you get a tune out of one of them for 10 minutes, they're brilliant, and then you turn around, you turn your back for 5 minutes, and they're sat over there like picking worms out of the ground and that for me, that's Juninho Bacuna.
I think he makes a bit of a maverick in it. He just kind of did what he wanted, and if you didn't like it, then bollocks to you, kind of thing.
That's a good point, Matt. That you can laugh because they're probably 2-0 up against Dundee or what have you, but at Rangers you won't be able to have 1 game in 10. It'll have to be 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. You play for people shout here, but you play one of the biggest names in.
That's one of the top five biggest clubs in the UK without a shout. Yeah, without a shadow.
They won't accept 50,000. Won't accept him pissing about and stuff. No. Yeah, he'll have to perform a lot better. But that Gerrard knows that, and that's why he's got him in. So yeah, it'd be fascinating to see.
That's an interesting one, that Matt. Top five in the UK. Who's your top 5 in the UK then?
Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Rangers, Celtic.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
They couldn't even there were seats empty at game the other night.
Yeah, but it's the same with anyone. You win games, they're full, aren't they?
I think it's a tough one.
That's a podcast in itself.
Yeah, I was gonna say that could go on and tell you there's someone rather local. If you don't put them in the top 10, you'll hear about it. So we'll skip on for that.
Newcastle.
Yeah, big, but probably not to the Rangers level or anything. But yeah, big, huge. But anyway, boring that. It's all about, my dad's bigger than your dad bullshit. That is. So
exactly.
My dad can rip a phone book in half. That sort of rubbish that we used to do when you were a kid. But we'll move on. Yellow Pages phone book. My dad will rip this in half. And no one ever could do. Do you ever try rip one in half? They were absolute solid.
Only I always think insecure clubs bang on about how big the fan base is.
Yeah,
it makes no difference, does it? It's what happens on pitch.
It's all about money, mate. It's all about money these days. It's not about how many fans you get. It's all about
bang on about how many fans they've got. I think it's insecurity as well.
How many fans you've got? Only because when you're not very good, they only get 12,000, 13,000. But never mind.
Difference, does it?
But anyway, but that's all I've got today for in terms of my agenda. Any other business for you guys that you want to bring up while we're here?
No, mate. I think
I've
we've covered everything tonight. It's just so nice to be able to have a bit of a more upbeat
sit in your sauna and bask in the glow of steam.
I'm going to put a
6
bit of water on the hot coals, and Michael Effley is joining me soon in his role.
I think Pozzy's got like his feet in one of them foot spas, mate.
I reckon that's a good shout. He's definitely got shorts on.
Around, all sorts is going on.
You've got, it'll be his wife with like the spotlight and all sorts in there.
Smells lovely in here. There's a nice little essential oils going on, and
we'll have to do a podcast live from the sauna in Poz's summer house. That'll be fun.
Yeah, we will, mate. Get around and have some beers.
Go on, Cos.
There's one thing I just wanted to say is that again, your division's just full of big names with just doing nothing. I mean, Fulham, like again, it's early on, but they look not ominous, but they look a cut above. But I think anyone else, it just shows, doesn't it, how we got promoted that you don't need to have.
Make Coventry a fourth.
No, exactly.
Mark Robbins.
Luton were going up. Didn't they get beat with 5 or something yesterday?
Yeah, Luton are decent, and got spanked.
Again, there's going to be a team who gets there, a bit like we did that season.
Barnsley last year.
And that as well, but where it's like, so it's, I think that's the beauty of the division, isn't it? You don't know what's going to happen, and it makes for, it makes for good watching, especially like.
But, a friend of mine, Matt Roberts, centre half at Birmingham, and a lad that I speak to, he's a good mate of his.
Decent player.
They are apparently they're flying. Apparently the football that they're playing and the coaching that they're getting and the way the thought process of playing. Even Mark's turned around at times and said, like, I've never thought about how to play the game in the way that they're wanting him to play. And it sounds really positive down there. So Birmingham could be a team to look at this year.
Yeah, shame the manager's a bit of a phallus, but we'll move on.
I've read a few reports going about, because it's our last year parachute payment. It's almost like they're in trouble because this is last year parachute payments. I think Phil and everyone's kind of done his kind of due diligence now and stuff like that as well. So it's not as if we're gonna. To me, it's like, we need to get rid of loads more. I think we're in a good position with all that. It's the outsider looking in, thinking, where's shit? I think we've done.
I think when Mbenza goes, I think that's probably the last big earner in it, really. But anyway, I think that's enough for us this week. Pretty much done now. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks guys for joining us. Enjoy the sauna pause, and thanks to Magic Rock for sponsoring us. And we'll be back. Might have some post-match stuff after Everton, but definitely back next week. Thanks, guys.
Nice one, guys. Take care, everyone.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, they're the pride of the town, and the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.